Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We're about to get started on a trail ride. We're going to show you how to do some trail training. This is part 2 though. Part 1 was about teaching a horse some tools at home in the arena. That video is on our Patreon page. And so this video is going to be jumping into using those techniques out on the trail to help keep your horse connected with the rider, keep them calm, and overall teach them to be a nice, solid trail horse. So let's get into it. Today's part 2 of trail training series. We're going to be taking Barcy out on our first trail ride, and we've got our tools and our preparation done in the arena at home. Now we're ready to test things out on the trail. And keep in mind, this is trail training, which means that it's not about how far we go or where we get to. It's about giving her a good experience, helping her stay calm and relaxed the whole way. Let's get into it. You know the old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure? That's kind of what we have going on in this video. It's about setting this horse up for success to have a good experience out on the trail. That is the ideal scenario. And so we're going to talk about some troubleshooting when we're out there. But I just want to point out that from the first video and from the training that she's had, I'm hoping it goes pretty darn well. That's the idea. Because if they get out on the trail and they have a bad experience and they get nervous, and if they spend more than 20% of the ride being anxious while they're out on the trail, we have the wrong equation. We need to have her have at least a minimum of 80% of a good experience out on the trail, okay? Not 50-50. So that, you know, there is kind of some old logic of going, well, just ride them until they're tired and until they settle in. Well, let's say it took 5 hours to settle them in. And at the end, at 4 hours and 59 minutes, the horse got settled in. So you spent 1 minute with them settled in, but you spent 4 hours and 59 minutes with them being revved up on the trail. How do you think it's going to go the next time you take them out? You're going to have that same experience. So this is about setting the horse up. We'd rather be prepared than lucky. And this is again about trail training. So the moment I feel her getting amped up, so in other words, this horse doesn't have any, like, she's not a spooky horse or that sort of thing, but she is a sensitive horse, and she has more go than whoa. So she is the type horse that if we set this up wrong, you could easily teach her to be a hot horse out on the trail. So I hope that we've done enough preparation at home that we're going to have a good experience out here. So let's go ahead and jump into it, see how it goes. So we're just starting our ride, and she's feeling a little bit forward. So what I'm going to do, anytime I feel her getting forward, I'm not going to wait for her to get really impulsive. I'm going to yell stop to the group. Everybody's going to stop riding their horses, and I'm just going to go back and do this little hindquarter yield exercise until her feet get a little bit sticky. Now, there's a fair bit of room here. You know, this isn't some crazy mountain trail out in Colorado. But you can see she still wants to walk off before I ask her to. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and bend her here and just get her mind to be back on me. This is, again, just about getting a connection with the horse where she's harmonizing with me and waiting on me. There. So you can see she kind of changed mental states there. So now we're ready to continue on. It's very tempting for riders, if the horse starts getting a little bit impulsive, to pick up on the reins and manage that horse's speed. And this is managing, not training, okay? So we're just controlling the horse, and this is going to lead to them continuing to get more and more emotional. So I give them a loose rein. If they go too fast or if they spook or do something I don't like, I'm going to reach down, I'm going to bend them around, and I'm going to yield their hindquarters. I'm going to say stop to everybody else. So that's another kind of tip here, is make sure you're trail riding with friends that are willing to let you have a trail training ride. You know, obviously if you're by yourself, it's a little easier. But what you don't want to do is get in a situation where you're trying to bend your horse and disengage them, and the rest of the group is continuing to ride on ahead of you. That's going to amp that horse up a whole lot. So another thing you can do if you're in a situation where you have to keep going because the group is, you can start adding these little S bends. So I'm going to kind of pull one rein and bend her here, kind of pull one rein and bend her here. and I can eat up a lot of speed with all these bends. But when you bend them, it's really key to get that rib cage to bend. And you can see I can do this in a relatively small space. Okay, this is a good strategy, you know, if you're gathering cattle and you're riding across a field and your horse starts getting really amped up. So, yeah, commit to that loose rein. Try not to resist the urge to pick up both reins and manage your horse, and you're gonna have a much more enjoyable trail ride. Another thing that can come up on a trail ride is your horse sees something and gets a little spooked at it. You can see she's kind of noticing this tree. So right there, I feel that threshold. So I'm gonna stop, and I might even back her up, because it's very tempting for a horse to push through their own thresholds. So by me retreating, that gives her a chance to kind of look at it, and we can just take a moment here and relax. You know, a strategy that you see quite a few people use is they'll let another horse go out ahead and they'll continue on. But for me, if I'm doing a trail training ride, I don't want to just power through the situation. I know I could get her past the tree and we could carry on. I'm going to play a little game that we've played at home where we pick up our reins like this. We squeeze with both legs. We point them at what they're scared of, and then we release them, okay? So she wanders off of it, no big deal. I'm going to back her up, squeeze, point her at the scary thing, and release. Now, I've already taught her this at home. So this is telling her this is the target. And you can see she actually let down more. You know, if I try to just make her go to it and pull and kick, and I've never done that before, well, that's going to scare her more by it. But because I've done my homework and I've already taught her that if she walks off of something I'm trying to target, that I'll pick her up, I'll squeeze her with both legs, and I'll point her at the target. And then when I'm out on the trail here, hopefully I can use that strategy to get her to go up to it and put her nose on it and just touch that thing and get curious. So you can see again where her mental state switched. She went from concerned about it to curious and then even hungry. Okay, so this is a great way to just take this opportunity as trail training to go, oh, you're scared of something, I'm gonna acknowledge that. I'm gonna go up and we'll let you put your nose on it and get comfortable versus just powering through. Now, if I'm in a hurry or if I'm gathering cattle and I have a more experienced horse, I might just ride past that. But in this initial stage, when they're young and they're green and they don't have a lot of trail experience, just take the time to let them put their nose on it. Now, normally, she's going ahead and she's eating some leaves here. I'm not sure what flavor they are, but she seems to like them. Normally, I wouldn't let her eat out on the trail here. But because she was just afraid of this, if she wants to get comfortable enough to eat, I'm going to go ahead and let her do that. Hopefully, it's nothing poisonous. So, all right, she's had enough time here to look at it. Let's go ahead and continue on our trail ride. You can see we got other horses with her. It's not her out on a trail here completely by herself. We're using the buddy system. Okay, you guys are familiar with this from other things. And you know, I understand not everybody is going to have other horses that are confident on the trail and well behaved where you can use this, but it's really an ideal situation if you can leverage this. If the herd is generally calm and quiet, it makes it easy for that green horse that's out there to settle in. Versus if you bring two horses that are new to trail riding and maybe are a little nervous, they start to feed off each other and start to amp up and get a little nervous. Now, like right there, she spooked a little bit. So we'll just go ahead and I'll just bend her. And it's noticing those little moments, you know. I was planning on just talking and filming there and continuing on, but she spooked a little bit. So my policy is no free spooks, okay? So she didn't spook bad, right? You saw her just kind of flinch, but I just took that opportunity to remind her that she needs to stay connected with the rider here and not worry about what other things are happening kind of off in the bushes here. So yeah, use the buddy system, help create a calm herd situation as you're going down the trail, and you're gonna have a much better trail experience. Topic that comes up a lot with trail rides is, do you let your horse eat? Do you not let him eat? My rule of thumb is, if they snag something that's right next to them, right level with their nose as we're going along, I'm not going to give them a hard time about it. But if they put their head down and they try to stop eating out on the trail, I'm just going to add a little pressure somewhere else. I might use my rein and tap them on the shoulder. I might reach back, tap them on the butt a little bit. But what I'm not going to do is get in a tug-of-war match and pull on the reins and try to get their head up. So my policy is they're allowed to have fast food. Okay, so if they are able to continue walking, grab a snack and keep on going, no big deal. If you want to set your standards higher than that and you say, nope, we're not eating at all, that's totally cool. It's your own prerogative. But you know, when things are nose level with them as you're riding through tall fields of grass, it gets to be a struggle where you're having to deal with it a lot. So that's kind of my personal rule of thumb with it. you guys can choose your own, and hopefully that tip helps. So if you're kind of going down a steeper grade, you want to really try to lean back in the saddle. You can push on a tree to save a knee, and trying to keep that horse nice and straight, and even asking them to lower their head down as you go down the trail can be a really helpful tip here. But I really want to go nice and slow and steady down that trail. The big thing, keep that horse straight. Here we have kind of a sketchy little turn, and the point I want to make here is a lot of people would not want to fall down the ravine right here, so they would turn their horse's nose to the left and pull them over here. Problem is, then your horse is not looking down here, okay? So in order to navigate through this little tricky spot, what I would encourage everybody to do when you're in a situation like this is tip their nose towards it and use your inside leg inside the bend there to get the horse to look at it but yield away, so they're staying, you know, on the uphill side, right? So tip their nose towards it but use your leg to keep them pushed over. Again, that would mean you'd have to go ahead and teach your horse how to do that ahead of time. So right here we kind of have a steep hill. It probably doesn't look that steep on camera, but it's pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to keep her straight. I'm going to lean forward and I'm going to lift my hands up. I'm going to try to get her to kind of stretch her head down to look at the terrain that we're climbing up. Help her really engage those hindquarters as we come up that hill. Got it done. Well, I'm really happy with how that trail ride went. It was a really good trail training. We found a couple little things to work on. But other than that, she did really well. It kind of proved the idea that being prepared ahead of time will really kind of set your horse up to have a good experience on the trail. So hopefully you guys got some tips out of that video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one.